here's the deal. Are you guys ready to have your mind blown away? Hey everybody, this is Elon from Inside Fighting, and we're back with another episode. As always, this time it's a Southeast Asian martial art. I can't help it. I'm biased. I love Southeast Asian martial arts. This video is on Muay Chaiya, so stay tuned.
Pow pow, inside fighting, yeah, dangerous martial arts. Pow pow, ooh ah.
All right, so before we get started, I would like to just give a shout out to my store. If you want to support the channel, that's the way to do it. I don't have sponsors. I like putting out this content, but I've got a great instructional on there. I'm really confident to say so. It's on a system that I created over 25 years of doing martial arts called RAID, Rapid Aggressive Intelligent Defense, really focused on self-defense. It takes all the good things, all the great things that you find in combat sports, and then it gives you them from a realistic street perspective and deals with all that other stuff, pre-fight engagement, the flinch reflex, and how to deal with adrenal stress responses. So it takes the best of both worlds, puts them together in a very unique way. It's only 25 bucks, and it's a great way to support the channel. And if you don't like it, I will honestly refund you. So there's no better guarantee than that. All right, let's just jump into Muay Chaiya. Now, first of all, I have to say this from a striking perspective. My favorite combat sport in general is small glove Muay Thai, like what you would see in 1FC. I just love it. I think small glove Muay Thai is the coolest striking style in the world right now. As many of you know, I do like Kyokushin karate also. I don't love Kyokushin competitions. I think they breed some bad habits. Whereas Muay Thai competitions, I actually really, really enjoy, especially small glove, like I said. Now, a precursor, the grandfather, I'm going to be doing that a lot. It's like a new weird compulsion of mine to just suddenly jump into a very bad Scottish, Irish, like in-between accent. So just bear with me as I do it. Regardless, Muay Boran is an older style of Muay Thai. It's the forefather of Muay Thai, and Muay Chaiya, if I'm saying it correctly, is a subsystem of that. It's one of the Muay Boran systems. And again, there's certain key differences. Like if you watch Muay Thai, it's a great system because it covers a lot of things for a combat sport. It covers elbows, it covers clinch. In my opinion, they're one of the best in the world at clinching. It covers low kicks, they have a lot of powerful kicks. It's just a very cool, comprehensive system. What I love most about Muay Thai is that their sparring is playful. They've created a style where you can go in and you can be an incredible fighter, but you don't need to get brain damage in the gym. If you look at these real good Thai fighters in Thai gyms, they save it for the ring. And so it's a playful way to learn reactions and timing. And I talk about this a lot. I think that sparring, the real purpose of sparring is not to get head trauma, is not to prove you're tough. It is to develop reactions just like any other drill. To me, sparring and drilling are very, very similar because all drilling should to some extent be alive. And sparring is just the actualization of aliveness in your drilling. And so any type of sparring will have rules. Any type of sparring will have limitations. And then within those limitations and rules, you try and get as playful and as reactive and real as possible while not damaging each other. I'd rather be a fighter who's fresh. Forget combat sports. Let's just say from a self-defense perspective. I'd rather be the kind of guy who's fresh in the street because I don't have a torn rotator cuff, damaged ACL just because I've been rolling too hard in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And then I can't defend myself in the street, but I was, a gym hero. I'd rather not be that guy. I'd rather be the guy who's fresh in the street, who didn't go as hard in the gym, but my body is able to handle a lot more when the time comes. I believe combat sports are very, very similar. So your sparring has to reflect that. Okay, so that's Muay Thai. Now I want to talk about Muay Chaiya here. Now Muay Chaiya supposedly was founded by an unnamed monk, and he supposedly tamed elephants with Muay Chaiya. Don't ask me how, because I would not try doing these moves in front of an elephant, and I've never given a low roundhouse kick to an elephant's leg, but I do imagine that it would not cause significant damage, unless you're Buaka, and he's in this video here. So let's just actually show that. Here's a video of Buaka, who's one of my favorite Muay Thai fighters, training with a Muay Chaiya fighter or teacher. Now, if you don't know who Buaka is, guys, bro, he's a monster. He's an amazing Muay Thai fighter, has done incredible over his career, a legend, and he's learning here what he would consider and what everyone would consider the forefather of Muay Thai, which is the system Muay Chaiya, as written here at muaychaiya.com. Now, if you look, there's some real key differences to how they train. Muay Chaya, one of the interesting things about it is that it will favor defense first. The hand positions, the movements, all favor protecting your head and your body more than Muay Thai. This is not to say that Muay Thai does not favor protection, but you'll see in certain movements, they don't favor it in the same way that Muay Chai does. As you can see, they do a lot of defensive drill. They even, coming up next, I believe, do a lot of drills with multiple people. Like he has 2 people coming at him now. So he's defending against this guy. And I want to talk about their kick after, but let's just look at this. You see, they're just doing defensive drills. They do a ton of these defensive drills. And the motto of Muay Chaya is to be defensive first and then to attack. I've talked about this philosophy before, even in terms of my own style of sparring, where it's like turn-based fighting, where you shell up, you cover up, but you stay in the pocket. You don't let the distance increase because then they'll get away. And in the exchange, when you feel that opening, that's when you attack. By the way, I do this. This is one of my favorite counters to someone throwing a jab or a straight cross at me, is to just do that side kick there that he threw. He's going to show it now. That is an amazing little sneak. And you catch people in the rib with it, it causes a surprising amount of damage. But as you can see, they're dealing with multiple opponents. They're doing some grappling, some throws. This is a more comprehensive system than the sports system of Muay Thai. Okay, it's giving you a little bit more in terms of the self-defense applications. And does that mean it's a better system? No, it's just not exclusively a combat sports system. It's a self-defense system as well. This is not to say that Muay Thai can't be used as a self-defense. I feel like anything I say, someone's going to get angry. So I have to preface it with like, nothing is in absolutes nowadays. That's just how the internet is. It's like you say something and everyone takes it as an absolute. By the way, so much of this reminds me of Silat. And it's all in the same family, these Southeast Asian martial arts. But it's so interesting that these older Southeast Asian martial arts, from Filipino martial arts to Indonesian martial arts to Malaysian martial arts to Thai martial arts, here you see these defensive drills. They do this a lot, by the way. It's so interesting to see the similarities between them when you look at the older styles. And even then, when you get into the combat sports, there's certain similarities, like Lethwei and Muay Thai. You know, they have overlap. They just allow different rule sets. Here he's talking, and this is something that I wanted to talk about earlier, the differences of the kicks. Now, if you look, when Muay Chaya guys kick, they keep their arm, their defending arm up. It looks awkward. Not only that, they move their body as a solid object. You see, like that's not like a hip kick. That's just like my whole body moving into the kick and staying tight on top the whole time. It almost looks bad. If you were to tell me honestly, like, does this look like a slick kick? Like here, he's even showing how he keeps his arm up guarding for the front kick. It almost looks bad because if you look at like natural body mechanics, let me just make myself full here. It is natural to whip your arm down to create counter movement so that your hip can pop forward and you can throw the kick hard. Went out of focus there. But that's how a Muay Thai guy will throw a kick. And he even shows it a little bit. He shows how that in Muay Thai, when they throw the kick, and he'll show it later, they drop the arm because they're throwing at range. I disagree. I don't think that a close kick in Muay Thai, you should keep the arm up. You should still drop the arm. But if you are favoring defense, if you put all your stat points into defense, because it's a warrior-based system, you're trying to protect your head no matter what, I do understand this approach. It's actually counterintuitive to how you kick in Muay Thai. It's interesting that this is the forefather, and he's even talking about it. He's like, here he's going to show how when he kicks at range, he stands more upright and he has a more traditional Thai stance as opposed to the low Muay Chaya stance. And we can actually just see it right here. But if you put all your stat points into defense, that's what it would look like. Here, he's showing the Muay Chaya kick is very different. They're almost opposite from each other, to be honest with you, which is so fascinating that one came from the other and yet developed completely opposite stances. Thai guys stand upright and kick hip forward, rotational energy, and almost like a battering ram coming through you. But the body should be behind the kick. The hip needs to come first and the leg behind it. That's how you generate your force. It's rotational, right? And if you look at a Muay Chaya kick, everything's moving at the same time. You just don't generate as much power like that, but you're way more safe and way more covered up. It's just interesting, the development and how different it is. They also stand way lower, which is, again, very Silat. Like Silat guys tend to stand low. And this thing that they do with their hands, which you see in Muay Baran, the way they stand with their hands, totally different than Muay Thai, but they do it because of their defensive nature. Everything they do is meant to be able to move these forearms into a position where they can block very quickly because they're not fighting with gloves in Muay Chaiya. They're fighting bare knuckle. And when you fight bare knuckle, you can't just stand like this. Like one of the things you see in Muay Thai, let's just get off of here. One of the things you see in Muay Thai is guys can just shell up like this. You can't do that bare knuckle. All of this is open. All of this is open, right? You have to use your elbows. So if you think about that, the way they stand is one is across and one is here. And this is getting low to protect the body. And it's on more of an angle because they can hammer fist whatever's coming at them, right? So they can hammer fist here. They can hammer fist here. They can hammer fist down. It's almost like it's starting to bleed into what you see in karate with like different types of blocks, but without the retraction to here. All these martial arts over time start bleeding into each other. It's the most fascinating thing. These movements, you can really see that there was like a pathway for everything, and that like cultures made changes, but the evolution of martial arts really did stem from sharing these movements with each other, and that there's a natural mechanism in the human body for defense that inevitably comes out when you train for combat. And that's such a cool concept, right? That if you were to start over right now martial arts and create 5 different islands and have them all trained to defend themselves over 1,000 years, that there would be similarities. They would end up with similar conclusions at the end of the day. There'd be differences, right? But the tools that they would use, head, elbow, knees, shins, feet, they'd eventually figure out that these are your weapons. They'd eventually figure out that from here, you can lift your elbow, you can parry, you can block out. Now, they might do it a little bit more karate-like. They might do it a little bit more boxing-like with footwork and head movement. But inevitably, those are all the same concepts. So let me just show this one right here, showing some of the pad work. You know, the body mechanics almost look counterintuitive to me, but I've said that about Silat. And if I were to just watch Silat without having trained it, I would be one of the people who hate Silat. I hate to say that about myself. I mean, I'm happy I was exposed to it because I really appreciate it. I train it. I think it's a wonderful style. But if you just look at the body mechanics, sometimes they almost seem counterintuitive and not smooth. And here you kind of see a little bit of that. This doesn't look as smooth as a Muay Thai fighter would look, kicking pads and hitting pads. But you have to feel something sometimes to understand it. You have to get in there and understand why they're doing what they're doing. They also, again, because it's not a combat sport-based system where they're using just punches, you can see, and elbows, they're using the back fist a lot. They're using hammer fists a lot. They use their forearm a lot. And they do something that you see in Filipino martial arts. I think they do look kind of slick, though. But it's just the movements. That kick does not look as fluid as what you'd see in a Muay Thai kick. But that is something you'd see all the time in Filipino martial arts, in like Panantukan, or you look at Yao Yan. There's a lot of this where my strike comes through and then it loops around and hits again. My strike comes through, loops around and hits again. Now, if you look at that strike, anytime there's a strike, just in general, if you're training martial arts, I want you to become aware of that your blocks and your strikes are interchangeable. They have to be. If you only see something as a strike, then you're missing out on a whole area of what it can be. And if you're only seeing something as a defense, then you're probably also missing out on another 50% of what that is. Even a straight punch. Straight punch can be a move that is literally punching the bicep, punching the shoulder as the punch is coming in at you. If you throw a hook at me, a hard hook, and I punch you right in that cross shoulder, and then I loop and I hit you here with the back fist, or even if I throw the punch, I come across, and now I back fist as a way to parry your arm down and parry the other one out the way. So if I hit you and then you're throwing a hook over here and I just go like this, that's literally this movement, right? It's also all these type of movements. So I'm parrying your hand down, back fisting you. If you throw a straight punch at me, parry down, back fist. All this movement is the same thing. It's up to you or your coach, if you have a good coach, to start explaining that movements are more than just what they immediately appear to be. There's so much more to everything you're doing usually than is on a superficial level, including grappling techniques. There's often grappling stuff hidden in there too. So they just had some nice pad work over there. And let's just jump over here. This is a defensive drill where you see they're just sitting down. And I actually talk about the value of this. I do it differently, I'm not going to lie. But you see they're just learning to react to stuff without being able to move out the way. Now, Muay Chaiya, like I said, it's a close quarter system. Doesn't rely on footwork to get out. It relies on footwork to get in and stay tight. One of the things you have to develop is being able to stay put when someone's attacking you. One of the best ways to train that is either go up against a wall or sit down, because you take away footwork, take away the ability to get away using your feet. Once you're comfortable being stable, you'll be comfortable moving in, right? This is step one. This is how I used to teach my students. I used to tell them, we're going to put you against a wall, or we're going to make you sit down with each other, and we're going to put on gloves, and I'm going to attack you, and you have to stay tight. The next step was, if you're sitting down, you have to be able to explode off of the stump and drive into the person with an elbow. You have to explode off of the stump and get clinch. And so it teaches you how to stay in the pocket and then how to drive in past and get your entry so that you can get control. Now, what I don't do, which is a little bit different than here, if you look at how they defend by kind of staying tight and doing this kind of stuff. I just believe in hugging your head and not moving too much. Or if this is out, if I'm in the spear position, just moving very little. Like I literally just believe if your hand is here and it stays here and it can just move around and protect you as much as possible, the less you have to extend yourself away, the better for self-defense. The more you extend yourself away, if you look at a lot of knockouts in the UFC, if you look at the knockout of Francis Ngannou right now versus Anthony Joshua, let's just give a shout out to that fight. That was an incredible performance by Anthony Joshua. But what happened? What was the difference between that fight versus the Tyson Fury fight? The difference was Francis Ngannou was biting on every single flinch, every single movement that Joshua was giving him. Anytime Joshua would do this, Ngannou would open up his guard or try and reach for something. Anytime you try and reach to counter a strike against any good striker, you're going to leave yourself open for what's coming next. So I often believe that the way to untrain reacting, and we just saw it with Chito Vera, by the way, Sean O'Malley, Chito Vera. I don't know if you guys like these kind of fights. I know this is off topic, but he was overreacting to everything. If you just stay tight and weather the storm, it's a lot easier said than done, but your chances of getting knocked out, even if you eat damage, are much lower, because the second you extend to reach for something, all this opens up. I don't believe in opening myself up. So that's just like a philosophical approach to fighting in general. Muay Chaiya seems to have that. They just do a little bit more than I would do, but they drive in a lot with it too. They use their elbow the way I tell people to use their elbow. And again, these are things you see in Silat, you see them in Filipino martial arts, you see them in Malaysian martial arts. Again, there's that kick. It's not a kick that you would see in Muay Thai, and that backhand is very popular here, and that hammer strike. By the way, a lot of these movements, I talked about, like, movements mean more than they appear to be, are also bolo movements, or like machete movements. Because like the way you chop with a machete is often how you can block somebody. Your elbow is similar to a machete. I like this style. I think it's actually very Silat-like, but also kind of like a hybrid between what Silat and Muay Thai would look like, which makes sense considering what it is. So I really, really like it. It's too bad this is not more popular outside of Thailand, and that it's almost impossible to find outside of Thailand, but it would be cool if it was available. And again, a lot of these movements are things you would see in Panantukan. 9-limb strikers. So different than Muay Thai in the sense of the art of the 8 limbs. All right, look, I'm not going to say much more because I think this is one of those things that's, pretty self-explanatory. They have a very local stance. It's an ancient system. Again, it's part of Muay Buran. And it has key differences that make it completely different than Muay Thai. And yet it's one of the grandfathers of Muay Thai. So that's just a really cool historical thing. And again, the lineage of martial arts and how they transform based on the needs of their time is something that really fascinates me. It's probably my favorite thing about martial arts in general is, why do they look the way they look? What was the need at the time? What is, even with weapons-based systems, why do some styles around the world hold their knife like this, reverse and hide it? Indonesian martial arts, you'll see a lot of the time with the karambit, they hide the blade, they keep it in the rear hand. It's something I advocate against, right? I always tell people, if I have a knife, range is my best weapon. I want to keep it in a traditional grip, and I want to hold it out. Now, I don't want to hold my arm out, but I want to be able to attack your lead hand. Range is everything. So why, in Silat and many of the system, do you see them do the reverse grip while hiding the blade behind their lead hand, which leaves it open to attack? Well, because they fight in close quarters. They're an urban warfare system that had to be able to hide the blade to come in and quickly cut you. And a lot of the time, they're fighting against longer blades. If I'm fighting against a longer blade and I put my shorter blade lead in, I'm sacrificing my bladed hand. Whereas opposed to, if I'm fighting a long blade like a machete and I have a short karambit, and now I have this, at least even if this gets chopped up, it'll allow me to drive in protectively. Even if I lose my arm, I at least will manage to kill you in the process and get through it. Whereas if I do this, I won't. You're going to cut my bladed hand. I'm going to drop the knife or lose it completely, and then game over. And so there are reasons for almost everything. It's just the need of the society at the time. And so to see Muay Chaiya develop the way it did with these low, tight stances, these kind of awkward hand positions, which is totally different, this kind of crossed up position than what you would see in almost any modern day combat sport, which is hands by the chin, tight, or even hands up high here, because we went from empty hand, bare knuckle fighting to gloved fighting. It was just an evolution. Again, really cool stuff. I hope you like this introduction to it. I hope I said the name of the style properly. And like and subscribe. And go to my store. Do me a favor. Even if you don't buy anything, just go check it out. I got all types of stuff. Look at this right here. Look at this, folks. Look at this random poster that I just made off my store. That's super cool. Super cool and cheap. It's like, I don't even know how much it is. Like $10. I don't remember. Very, very cool. Samurai. And I have shirts. I have everything. All right. Thanks so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed.